Hey and welcome to the Daily Arsenal News Show. Let's begin with our daily news. Mikel Arteta confident he's made the right call on a 27-year-old Arsenal player this summer. Arsenal manager Mikel Arteta has defended his decision to bring David Raya to the club to compete with Aaron Ramsdale. Arteta, speaking via MailSport, said that his decision wasn't a gamble rather than a necessity for the club to progress. The manager spoke about creating an environment that gets the best from all players, and he believes his new signings will help that. When asked about adding extra competition for places, Arteta said, "It's not a gamble, it's a necessity. There is no other way. The difference between Tier 1 and what you call Tier 2 players is too big. How do you resolve that? We can bring excellent players from the academy, but unfortunately today, we don't have somebody so ready to make that step. We have to create that environment. It's not a competition, it's to raise the level and the demands that we are going to be facing." Whilst almost all pundits and fans will recognize David Raya as an excellent player, not all think it's a good idea to sign him. 25-year-old Aaron Ramsdale has been thriving for Arsenal ever since being entrusted as their number one, but the now departed Matt Turner wasn't pushing for his number one spot last season. Perhaps Arteta perceived Ramsdale to be in a comfort zone at Arsenal, something that won't be the case with Raya around. Although Raya will push for Ramsdale's spot, the current number one should start against the Crystal Palace on Monday, according to reports. An immediate dropping wouldn't really align with Arteta's comments on competing for places. That would be more akin to a replacement, and whilst Arsenal fans might be concerned about the prospect of Arteta one day replacing Ramsdale with Raya, it should only be for the club's benefit. Arteta has put an enormous amount of faith in Ramsdale, something he won't throw away for no reason. Last year, Ramsdale proved that he has the levels capable of being a title winner. It would be hard to imagine Mikel Arteta watched last year's campaign and simply wanted to replace his number one spot. Much like a lot of Arteta's managerial decisions, a clear comparison can be seen to Pep Guardiola's journey at Manchester City. Darren Bent insists that Mikel Arteta has to start £30 million Arsenal player tomorrow. Pundit Darren Bent has insisted that Arsenal manager Mikel Arteta has to start Aaron Ramsdale against the Crystal Palace tomorrow. Bent was speaking on TalkSPORT about the £30 million goalkeeper on his dilemma this season. Arsenal began the season with three brilliant new signings in the starting lineup. Declan Rice and Kai Havertz did very well in midfield, with Jurriën Timber lining up in defense. Unfortunately, the young Dutchman picked up a serious knee injury that will likely rule him out for much of the season. Ahead of their match against the Crystal Palace, Arsenal also added Brentford goalkeeper David Raya to the squad. The 27-year-old could put some serious pressure on Aaron Ramsdale for his spot in between the sticks this season. Bent has said that Mikel Arteta has to stick with Ramsdale going forward, as he is yet to put a foot wrong this season. In fact, his performances notably improved during pre-season when rumors started to swirl about Raya's arrival. He then put in a fantastic performance against Manchester City in their Community Shield win. Asked whether Arteta should be making the switch in goal already, Bent said, "No, I think for now Ramsdale has not done enough wrong for him to be dropped. Absolutely not." Aaron Ramsdale will know the pressure is on for his place in the side. Arsenal now arguably have the strongest pair of goalkeepers in the Premier League, which has its upsides and downsides. Raya will put plenty of pressure on Ramsdale, and that should lift his performances. However, it's also putting additional pressure on a position in the team that is already under intense scrutiny. As Bant has suggested, Arteta is expected to stick with Ramsdale in goal tomorrow. The England international has been backed to improve this season by David Seaman, who would have seen him working on the training ground at Arsenal. Whether he's given the opportunity is another matter, and it will be interesting to see how the pair's game time is shared. Fabrizio Romano shares Nuno Tavares and Arsenal update. amid links to Nottingham Forest. Arsenal defender Nuno Tavares will not be joining Nottingham Forest this summer, according to Fabrizio Romano. Tavares has emerged as a target for Forest in recent days. Steve Cooper's side are searching for new players, and the Arsenal left back is believed to be a target. However, despite those links only emerging a few days ago, Fabrizio Romano has now claimed that Tavares will not become a Nottingham Forest player as things stand. Taking to X, Romano has confirmed that Tavares is considering other options and subsequently, any deal to join Forest is now off. Arsenal are reportedly looking to bring in around £22 million for Tavares if they do sell. That sort of fee seems high given he is not really done the business for the Gunners. It remains to be seen whether this is the reason for the transfer breaking down. However, given Tavares did quite well in League One last season, it's not surprising to hear there are other offers on the table. Paying more than £20 million for Nuno Tavares seems baffling anyway, and if the player isn't that keen on the move, then it seems even more bizarre. Clearly, there is a player of sorts in there with Tavares. He has a dynamism and unpredictably about him that Forest might feel they can utilize. However, at the price and given the fact he seems to be weighing up interest from elsewhere, it seems Tavares now seems like a bad option. Forest should move on here, they can do better, and at the end of the window, will likely have got someone a tad better through the door anyway. Arsenal now U-turn on allowing fantastic £45 million player to leave after surprise interest. Arsenal were going to allow one of their players to leave this summer, but it seems that they have now changed their minds. According to the Express, Arsenal now have no plans to offload defensive midfielder Thomas Partey this transfer window. The report goes on to say that they are willing to allow the player to leave earlier in the window, despite surprise interest and an inquiry from Fenerbahce. Mikel Arteta now wants to keep Partey. This makes sense that the Gunners have made a U-turn on the future of Partey. The window shuts at the end of August, and the Premier League season has already got underway. The defensive midfielder has had some fantastic moments for Arsenal, but started to lose his place in the team towards the end of last season. Last weekend, in their first game of the Premier League, we saw Partey back into the starting 11. This time, he was being played as a right back. Tactically in this match, we saw the £45 million midfielder in that defensive slot, but constantly coming in as an inverted central midfielder. If he is being played in the Premier League in their first game of the new season, then he is arguably someone that Arteta sees as an important player. It's important that the manager feels like he has a good 25-man squad, not just a starting 11, as they try to battle for the title. They will want to lift another trophy this season alongside the Community Shield. If they want to compete well in all competitions, they need strength and depth. Arsenal have no plans to loan out unplayable youngster. Arteta wants to keep him. Arsenal currently have no plans to loan out wonderkid Ethan Nwaneri this season, with the transfer window closing soon. Journalist Kaya Kainak was speaking on his YouTube channel about the unplayable teenager's future. Arsenal will be hoping to build on last weekend's 2-1 win over Nottingham Forest tomorrow when they face Crystal Palace. Mikel Arteta will be without Julian Timber after he picked up a serious injury on his Premier League debut. Gabriel Jesus will also be unavailable, but aside from that, Arteta has plenty of senior players to choose from. Arguably, he has too many players in his first team squad right now and will be hoping there are some outgoings very soon. The likes of Nicolas Pepe, Nuno Tavares, and Albert Sambi Lokonga could all move on. One player who won't be leaving Arsenal is Ethan Nwaneri, with no loan move on the horizon. After breaking the Premier League record for being the league's youngest ever player, he hasn't made another senior appearance since. However, there are big plans for Nwaneri, and Arteta wants to keep him at the club to keep a close eye on his development. Speaking about the 16-year-old winger, Kainak said, Nwaneri is a really interesting one to keep an eye on this season. The plan is, as far as I am aware, not to currently send him on loan. They want to keep him at Arsenal. They were very clear when they convinced him to stay, as there were a lot of clubs interested, including Manchester City, Chelsea, Liverpool. Those kinds of guys were very interested in him, but Nwaneri's camp have sort of very clearly briefed that he always wanted to stay at Arsenal, and one of the reasons he was convinced to stay at Arsenal is that he is an Islington boy, a local boy, but part of it is that he was shown a clear pathway into the first team. Last season, he spent most of his time going up and down with the 18s, where he did really well and helped Arsenal in the FA Youth Cup final, and going up to the 21s, where he obviously did decent as well. Wanir scored a hat-trick yesterday for the under-21s and has a very bright future ahead of him. He will be hoping to be handed another senior opportunity in the domestic cups this season at the Emirates. Journalists wouldn't be shocked if Arsenal now hijacked £40 million move. Mohamed Kudus is closing in on a move to West Ham, but until a deal is done, there is a chance it could be hijacked. Indeed, while the Ghanaian seems to be on course to end up at the London Stadium, it's impossible to ignore the feeling that he could well be set for bigger and better things. With all due respect to West Ham, they are not likely to be playing Champions League football anytime soon, and Kudus is a player who is more than worthy of playing at the very top level. Speaking on the Talking Transfers podcast, Brahim Bailey has been discussing the Ajax Ace's future, and he said that he wouldn't be surprised if either Arsenal, Manchester United, or Chelsea came in and snatched the attacker from West Ham. Bailey shared his verdict on the £40 million. He said, if United came in, it wouldn't surprise me. If Arsenal came in, it wouldn't surprise me. If Chelsea came in, it wouldn't surprise me. We know they are all interested, but are they willing to push this through? That's why Tim is in Amsterdam at the moment. He is aware of these other teams, so are Kudus people. That's why they kept Brighton at arm's length. Kudus knows these teams have an interest, but do they have enough interest to pull the trigger? A hijack from one of these clubs does feel very plausible. A player like Kudus belongs at one of the Premier League's top clubs, and while we have seen West Ham pull off this kind of coup before, it's hard to believe that all of the top clubs will sit idly by as the Hammers finalize this move. Whether it's from Arsenal, Chelsea, or United, don't be surprised if West Ham face some late competition for this young man's signature. Extraordinary former Tottenham player could now be ready to join Arsenal. Arsenal are expected to be on the market to find a new fullback, and Kyle Walker-Peters, who once played for Tottenham Hotspur, could apparently be open to joining the Gunners. That's according to Ben Jacobs on Give Me Sport, who claimed that Mikel Arteta's side will have to be diplomatic in their approach to sign a new fullback following Jurriën Timber's injury. The journalist thinks Walker Peters could be an option. The journalist said, when you look to bring someone in, you can't necessarily go for somebody that, once Tamber returns, is not going to have an integral role within the team. This is where I think Arsenal need to be diplomatic in who they are looking for. A player like Kyle Walker Peters could be open to the move, but would still want guarantees of minutes and game time. I wonder whether Arsenal will look for more of a stopgap than necessarily a permanent type signing in order to ensure that they don't rock the boat or the chemistry within the side. Walker Peters joined Tottenham Hotspur as a teenager back in 2013. The extraordinary defender spent 7 years on their books and made 24 senior appearances, most of which came under Mauricio Pochettino during his time at the club. Spurs let Walker Peters leave permanently in 2020, and the fullback has been brilliant since. He has been on the radar of a number of big clubs, and he could finally get a move this month. However, if Walker Peters decides to join Arsenal, we are sure there will be some angry noises coming out from the other side of North London. I will be uploading daily Arsenal news, so keep your eyes on the channel and don't forget to like and subscribe. I appreciate your support. Peace out.